Well, let's do talk the Northern Front for a sec, because new revelations on what we more or less knew, and yet the Hezbollah terror infrastructure is big, is scary, and far from gone.
Yes, and it's not going anywhere in the near future. Part of the revelations
There you go for the good news of the day.
Yeah. Part of the revelations are psychological warfare that both sides employ one towards the other. Part of this is preparing the Israeli public for a possible escalation with Hezbollah, and understanding that there will be a lot more civilian casualties due to the missile capabilities of Hezbollah, and the need to strengthen the northern border with a constant readiness of soldiers. We're talking about quantity. The army wants to make sure that the government understands that the army needs to have a strong force in the north. And it might be employing internal psychological warfare. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis that there's something new. It's things that are happening behind the scenes, some power struggles, internal power struggles. I wouldn't take it more than that.
Interesting, because we usually think of mind games vis-a-vis the enemies on the other side of the border. Less intuitive, perhaps, the mind games here domestically between the security echelon and the political level.
I think we've seen through the past year or so, there is a conflict of interest, and lately about the Ramadan coming up.
Yes, we'll talk about it in a second. For this, back here still with Brigadier General Shafir. As mentioned, the hostage families are protesting, but what is it that they would like to see? What is it that, I will rephrase my question. What is it the government is not doing to bring about the release of the hostages?
This particular case is symbolic, in that in normal conditions the government is doing the right thing, in that it sees that Hamas is under pressure, sending their senior person, actually, Hania, to Cairo.
Is it under pressure, or are they just acting polite? Trying to appease the Egyptians, trying to, to be okay with all those involved?
It is. I think it is quite obvious that Hamas is under pressure. The military advances that Israel is having is breaking down Hamas, and they played tough, but Israel did not budge. And I would say that when you're in this kind of situation and in military conflicts, we've seen this over and over again for hundreds of centuries, somebody's going to break. So the other side can feel when they're close to it and are playing tough. But in this particular case, the rift that took place between the government and the military and the families of the hostages is such that the hostages are not trusting the prime minister that he's playing tough with Hamas, but rather that he's playing tough with them. And that is a sad situation at this time.
Yeah, the trust or lack thereof is definitely a key issue here, and yet, and obviously, it does not come. It does not happen in a void, and it comes in the aftermath of boiling political tensions here in Israel. I find it impossible to assume that the prime minister, and even for mere political, cynical reasons, would not like to see the hostages being.
Oh, sure, he would like that. I'm not doubting that at all.
No, not suggesting that you did. I'm just.
But the pressure that the ultra-right is applying on Netanyahu, not to even try to reach a resolution prior to Hamas caving down altogether is such.
Not a who will blink first, a who will blinken first, right? Excuse my pun, I cannot resist sometimes. Back here in studio with Brigadier General Israel Relik Shafir. Brigadier General Shafir, it seems that the operation, the ground activity in Khan Yunis is nearing an end of sorts, and the next stop is Rafah, simply because this is the only territory that is yet to be addressed. Do you see any other option here?
Not really, but put things right. Israel does understand, at least the IDF understands, that it cannot continue the same line that took place in Gaza or Khan Yunis in an area where there are 1.3 million people, and it's close to the Egyptian border. And at this point in time, Israel wants to buy time and do the work in a more accurate, I would say, or even surgical mode. That is, take the data and information about where the shafts are in the entrances to the tunnel system and treat them one by small forces. It may cost some casualties because you're not coming with tanks and the Air Force and demolishing the whole area around, but maybe push a little bit on the civilians, a little bit to the side when they go into those shafts. This will take time, and it'll be more surgical, so that it'll buy Israel time to take care of these.
Surgical, however, does not mean risk-free. Far from it. Quite the opposite, judging by most latest history on the ground there. Brigadier General Shafir, thank you very much for your time, for your insight. We appreciate it. Thank you.